Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. I'm going to move quickly through this call for a very simple reason. We're getting blown up with requests for trusts and other information, and for those of you that I've not gotten back to right away, I apologize for that. We're doing the best we can. We're responding to people in the order in which we received the question or request. And as soon as this call is completed, I'll be back on the phone. So let's go ahead and get started for today. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other pre-valued currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of these currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves. We're sharing with you the information we believe to be most relevant. Of course, those of us that do hold the dinar and other currencies, particularly those of us that have held these currencies for quite some time, are anxious for the window for the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. Things are gaining momentum in country. If you listen to some of the other sources, reliable sources, a lot of them are pointing to October, some saying even prior to that. I want to go back to the comment by Prime Minister Soudani earlier in the year when he swore by Allah, and that is not something that a faithful Muslim would say if he wasn't serious, but he swore by Allah that, quote, the citizens of Iraq will see a new exchange rate this year. So worst case scenario is a calendar year rather than a fiscal year. We're talking December of this year. We're, halfway through August, so we're talking a few months. We also have comments coming out of the WTO. Evidently, they're salivating at the prospect of the ascension of Iraq to the World Trade Organization. And obviously that has to do not only with the reinstitution of their currency, but from a trade standpoint. And I've discussed this from time to time on my calls, but Iraq, in my opinion, per square mile, is the richest country in the world. I'm just going to give you one example. The Iraqi crude has an extremely low sulfur content, which means it's much more easily refined, or in certain applications does not need to be refined at all, because only about 1/3 of petroleum is used in the combustion engine. The rest is used for the production of glass, plastics, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and nanotechnologies. So while the Iraqi crude has the lowest sulfur content, Iraq simultaneously has some of the largest sulfur reserves. Well, why is that important? Well, the sulfur reserves are used for the production of sulfuric acid, which has literally hundreds of applications industrially. So just in this one example, Iraq has it coming and going. And we're not even touching on all the other minerals. This is another reason why Iran is so jealous of Iraq, because there is the Caucasus Mountain Range in Iran, and, of course, the silt travels through down to the Tigris-Euphrates Delta in Iraq. So the mountain range of Iran produces the silt and all of the wealth in Iraq. So Iran just is beside themselves, and for my opinion, they so deserve it. Now, then there are the citizens of Iraq. Since January of this year, 2024, they haven't been able to use the U.S. dollar in exchange for goods and services. They've been forced instead to utilize their own currency, the IQD, which is currently 13.22 against the U.S. dollar. This means that they have very little actual purchasing power. So if Soudani does not keep his promise, and remember that Iraq is a parliamentary system, the citizens of Iraq, perhaps Sadr will come out of hibernation, and there will be a no-confidence vote. Now, in a parliamentary system, they do have scheduled elections, but in a parliamentary system, you can also have a no-confidence vote and remove politicians and replace them prior to elections. Now, I don't like the parliamentary system, but based on what's going on in this country right now, no confidence vote would definitely be advantageous. But I want to talk about the project to delete the zeros, because there's a lot of discussion and hypotheticals about all of this. Now, what exactly was the deletion of the zeros about? Well, first we have to ask, why did they add zeros to the provisional currency? Very simply, it was because of inflation. After the removal of Saddam Hussein, the country economically, Iraq, that is, basically cratered. They were producing very little goods and services. They didn't have a substantial international trade program. So the price of what they had because of the scarcity was extremely expensive. The solution was to just add the 3 zeros to the currency to accommodate for the hyperinflation. So the deletion of the 3 zeros is a situation where the country has gotten inflation under control, and they will remove the 3 zeros. Now, that means a couple of things. It means that they'll be issuing their new currency, which is absent the 3 zeros, but it also means that citizens in country that go to purchase a good or service and present the provisional 3-zero currency will, for example, if they give a store vendor a 10,000 dinar note, it'll be a 10 dinar note, not a 10,000 dinar note, because of the deletion of the 3 zeros. Now, there are some that say that the deletion of the zeros will affect all of us, so that when we go to the bank to exchange our currency and we have 20,000 dinar notes, the bank will delete the zero and they will have a 20 dinar note. I can't say absolutely that that's not possible, but I don't see how it's practical or doable for the following reasons. Over the last 20 years, international central banks, international hedge fund, investment company, and investment whales, along with individuals such as ourselves, purchased the Iraqi dinar in order to assist the country to rebuild itself. So it seems to me that it's going to be highly unlikely, if not impossible, for them to pull the rug out from under us at the 11th hour. In addition, it's the central bank of your country that will be exchanging the provisional dinar for your domestic currency. So, for example, if you're an American citizen, you go to an American bank, you have $1 million dinar. That will be exchanged for 1 million dinar at whatever the rate, the USD rate, is against that. Now, theoretically, why would the bank do that if they have not recognized the 3 zeros in country? Well, if there is an inflationary issue, of course it will be in our country or the other international countries that are recognizing the 3 zeros. But remember, when the United States exchanges our currency, and they're now holding the provisional 3-zero currency, there's a couple of things they can do. One is they can hold the currency as a reserve because it's a good derivative of gold and silver and all of the natural resources within Iraq. Or the second thing they can do is they can submit that currency to the CBI of Iraq in exchange for value. Now, what would that value be? It could be infrastructure contracts, it could be oil credits, it could be any number of things. So for all of these reasons, in summation, I would basically say that Soudani's going to keep his promise, that Iraq will present, the CBI of Iraq will present a new exchange rate this year, and that's been reduced now to literally a matter of months, that we will be able to go to an American bank and exchange the Iraqi dinar for its value on the Forex, and we'll determine individually when we want to exchange or how much of our currency based on our needs, tax issues, and things of that nature. And that before the end of this year, we will all reap the benefit of the purchase of the Iraqi dinar, whether as some of our clients literally have purchased dinar for the first time this year and other clients that have had dinar for 20 years. So the wait's been very long for many of us, but I think it's going to be well worth it when the dust settles and this is all over. Now, as I said, I've got to move quickly through this call because of the number of people that are contacting us. I want to touch very briefly on the trust package that we've established, but I also want to mention that this package, which has been available to our clients long before we got involved with the dinar, is even more relevant today based on this comedy routine, this three-ring circus that's running the country right now. I want to touch on the environment that we're in right now because we've been told for the last 4 years that the current administration is doing everything they can to save our democracy. Well, of course, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional representative republic, but we use the word democracy in small d, and I understand that. But these are the things they're doing. They're doing every manner of election interference known to man. This is the only area where they seem to be really improvisational and have a lot of imagination because their policies pretty much suck. The best example I can give you recently was this week. The EU, which works with the left in this country, is literally threatening X for having the audacity of having an interview with Donald Trump. Now, love him or hate him, Donald Trump is the Republican Party nominee for president. He's a past president. And the idea that someone should punish an organization for doing an interview, who they ought to punish are the organizations that aren't banging the table because Kamala Harris won't do an interview. So this is the nonsense that's going on. But this is how they want to save our democracy. They want to stack the Supreme Court. And by the way, FDR tried that, and as a result, he not only failed in that attempt, but what ended up happening was we created term limits for president. Up until that time, there were no term limits. They also want to end the Electoral College. Well, the Electoral College was established to decentralize the elections and to include the states as well as the people in the election. So it's not a popular vote. It's the people and the states. They want to win the Electoral College. Kamala Harris has very proudly stated that she wants to end the Senate filibuster. Well, the Senate filibuster is established. Remember, in the House, it's purely a popular vote. If one party has one member more than the other party, they can plow everything through that they want. So the buffer to that in the Senate is the filibuster. The filibuster protects the minority. But because Kamala Harris thinks that she's not going to be able to overcome that, she wants to end the Senate filibuster, and she specifically said so that she can get her Green New Deal scam through. In addition to that, they want illegals to vote. I'm not supposed to call them illegals. They're migrants. They're here illegally. They're aliens, meaning they're non-citizens, but I have to call them migrants. So we can expect a push for amnesty before the end of the election as well. Now, the President of the United States cannot grant general amnesty. I don't want to get into the constitutional rationale for that, but it's pretty clear that the President of the United States cannot grant general amnesty. I'm not saying they won't try. I can see a scenario where they grant amnesty just prior to the election, allow these people to vote. It'll then go to the Supreme Court. They will lose, and then the Democrats will go out there and say, see, they are for voter intimidation. No, we want legal citizens to vote. We want them to vote legally, and we only want them to vote one time. Now, they also want to either amend or repeal the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the 10th Amendment. They also want to implement a central bank digital currency so they can monitor all of our purchases, which is a flagrant and grotesque violation of your Fourth Amendment right to privacy. So these are the reasons that every American citizen, whether you have currencies or not, needs to establish a trust. Remember, It's the wealthy, connected individuals that all have a trust product either identical or very similar to this product. Let me review very basically the benefits of such a trust. By placing your assets in a family asset protection trust, you will preserve your privacy and your anonymity. What you do is no one else's damn business, period. Second, the trust will allow you to avoid personal IRS scrutiny. You do receive the benefit of what's in the trust, but the economic activity occurs within the trust, so if there's an issue, it has to be dealt with through the trust, not you individually. Second, the trust can provide for pre-RV gifting for individuals that have currencies or gifting to family members. So if, for example, you have currencies and you want to gift them to friends and family, by gifting through the trust, not only will you avoid the federal gift tax by gifting the currencies in their pre-RV status, but you will have control of the post-RV proceeds. And in certain situations, you're going to need that control in order to gift to individuals. For those that don't have currencies or if they want to do additional gifting, you can gift the use of items like homes, cars, boats, etc. through the trust. The trust owns the asset, so you have ultimate control of that asset, but you can gift the use of that asset to friends and family. By establishing the trust, you will avoid the cost and delay of probate, which can at times take years, and you can avoid the federal estate tax. The federal estate tax can be as much as 65% of the value of your estate, in excess of $12 million. And for those of us that have currencies, $12 million is not a large amount. This trust also provides certain asset protection benefits. Pre-RV, you can avoid the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. Very simply, what that means is you put $10 million pre-RV dinar into your trust that you paid $10,000 for. The currencies were valued, let's say conservatively, for $1. You now have $10 million in trust. Can you be sued for the $10 million personally? No. You can only be sued for $10,000. Why? Because that's all the currency was worth when you transferred it out of title to the trust. Pre-RV, there's a benefit I like to refer to as limited liability stop loss. This protects you from future bad acts after you've acquired this wealth. How does that work? Well, let's say you have that $10 million. So you purchase a primary residence, a vacation residence, maybe a couple of rental properties, cars, boats, etc. But as you purchase these items, you place each of them in their own separate subtrust to be managed by the master trust. Well, how does that protect you and limit any potential future civil suit? I'll just give you a quick example. You're in a car accident. The car accident's your fault. Someone is seriously injured. They want to sue you. Well, you don't own anything, so they're left to sue the owner of the car. Well, who owns that car? One of your subtrusts of which you're merely the beneficiary. Can they sue you in other ways? Well, again, you don't own anything. And all of your other assets are in separate subtrusts, which under the law are separate legal entities or persons having nothing whatsoever to do with the accident in question. Therefore, the plaintiff would have no standing to pursue those separate assets. So the trust package works the way a commercial barge would work, where all of the valuable cargo is stored in a series of small compartments. Why? In the event that any compartment is ever breached, only the materials in that compartment would be lost. All of the other cargo are in the other compartments, which are safe and secure due to the firewalls. Now, our trust package is initially a package of 10 trusts consisting of one master trust that will hold your assigned currencies pre-RV and then in savings and investment accounts post-RV, one optional gift subtrust, which can be converted to a standard subtrust, and 8 additional standard subtrusts to hold physical assets like homes, cars, boats, etc. This was a simplification of a rather sophisticated trust package that we utilized for our more affluent clients, a package that has an initial cost of anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. But by simplifying the package and mass marketing it to those that have dinar and other currencies, we've been able to reduce the cost to $3,000. There are a number of ways you can pay for it. Pay us up front, we'll discount the price further to $2,500, saving you an additional $500. We even have a deferred payment arrangement. You'd make an initial payment of $525, which Some would basically offset our out-of-pocket costs just to produce and deliver your trust package to you. The balance of the $3,000 would then be paid in $100 monthly installments. We charge no interest. The only proviso is once the Iraqi dinar revalues globally, any unpaid balance would need to be paid within 30 days. So with this approach, anyone that has currencies and understands the need for getting their trust enforced and their affairs in order pre-RV should be in a position to afford to do so. If the things we've discussed here are of interest, you can contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. You can contact us by email, which is trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com. That's trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com. Or you can contact us through our phone service, which is 307-274-4122. That's 307-274-4122. Contact us. We'll be glad to get our initial package out to you. It does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but again, you're under no obligation to do so. The package has a lot of information about us, trusts, the currencies, etc. You can review the package. Contact us if you have any questions. We'll be happy to assist you. Again, when you're ready to proceed, or if you're ready to proceed, everything you need is included in the package. Once we receive your fee and your trust application, you should have your trust package within a week. Once you execute the documents, your trust will be legally enforced, and all of your currencies, dinar and other currencies, will be legally assigned to your trust, and there's literally nothing else for you to do until you go to the bank to do your exchange. I'm sorry we're doing a quick call for the day, but as I said, I'm really getting inundated with calls, and I've got to get back to some of these individuals. Some of them have contacted us even last week, and I've got to get back to them. They've waited long enough, and I'm doing my best to do so. So thanks very much for listening to the call. Our next call is scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly if something of dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye now.